Let's do it.
All right. And I think we are in.
Let's do it.
All right. Yeah, dude. I think it's working, man.
We're doing it?
Yeah, dude. I'm just
I
looking it through my
expected.
phone, and dude, I see us popping up on my phone, man. This is exciting.
Wow, you're watching our TV show.
So
It's just us.
the one person that's watching right now is my Acuity Instruments account that I switched to, so I wouldn't see myself on my own account.
All right. How's the
All right.
quality?
Oh, my buddy Dan is in the chat. What's going on, Dan?
Hey, Dan. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, this is awesome. All right. Awesome. Michelle says the stream looks pretty good. Audio seems pretty good. Hell yeah.
Side, I don't know if I paid
So
my
here's
Verizon bill.
yeah,
or
here's
not.
what I discovered is like I feel like I can't just prepare for a stream because for some reason there was like this weird delay. So I made a new live thing and then it brought me to this page, started streaming, connected to it, and then I hit go live and then we're good.
We're here. All right. So, do we start or
Nah,
well,
let's let some people stream in a little bit. I'm trying to
okay,
figure
let's do
out
it.
who's in here. I can't really see amount of viewers in there right now. But thanks, Dan, for showing up. We're doing good. I think you're a cutie too, Dan. It's nice seeing you. Or nice seeing you show up in the chat. Meow's
I feel like
Garage
Dan
says
won a
hello,
prize
everyone. What was that?
for being, Dan should win a prize for being the first one
He should. He gets a special shout out. I've known Dan for
to go, Dan.
quite some time. We basically met in the Volkswagen Audi crew. And
That's the best
yeah,
crew.
I haven't seen him in a
I've
bit since the pandemic started, but I mean, I'm just excited to get going back in the car stuff now that things are kind of a new normal. And well, I mean, we'll see how the fall season develops, but we shall see.
And Pawinn, I think you know that I am partial to the Volkswagen Audi side of things.
Oh,
So,
well, we can get right into that in the stream if you feel comfortable.
well, I mean, we can. I don't know. I mean, for the track, I'd rather track a BMW, but
Yeah,
for driving around,
yeah.
it's my Volkswagen.
Meow's Garage says, I got questions, Honda questions. Give us some
Oof.
time, and I just want to give a brief introduction after, people kind of settle into the chat. I think I will let it run for like another, 2-3 minutes, I'd say, and then we can just make our introductions and stuff like that. Yeah, I feel like all these beginnings to the live streams are so informal because like part of it depends on you going live on time.
I wish I could see this chat. Should I try it on my side computer, or will it destroy the whole thing?
I mean, if you want to, we might as well. Yeah, give it a shot.
Might as well.
Turn it back
I'll
on.
give it a shot. Okay.
Yeah, because I think nothing really has changed on your end in terms of like the delays and stuff like that. Anyone who's in the chat, miss you too, Dan. Hope you're doing well as well. Can't wait till next time we meet. But if anyone's in the chat could verify if our audio and video is acceptably in sync. I don't want to say it's perfectly in sync because of course I'm doubling a screen of a Hangouts on Google Meet. So if anyone can verify it being in decent shape, that'd be great, honestly. I know that I got...
I'm hotspotting off of a phone, so.
Cool. Dan goes, can we talk about your 2,400 unread emails? They can see like in the top corner there. I want to say I've had that email account probably since I was in middle school. So that probably explains why a lot of my spam emails have never, ever been opened. So Aaron just commented and Dan just commented, audio quality seems good. Video quality is good. So I think for a first attempt at a live stream, buddy, I want to say I'd give us a solid A-.
Dude, I'm into that. I was a C's get degrees kind of guy, so
Oh, that's what I was in college.
I was that since 4th grade.
Yeah. They're saying your side is stuttering a little bit, but that's so what's going on is because I couldn't really figure out. I'm not a
That's just how
master.
I speak.
Yeah. So I'm not a master at OBS. So basically, what I'm trying to do right now is I've doubled my Hangout screen onto another monitor, and we're actually streaming from that monitor. So whatever you're seeing on Josh's end is actually him chatting with me directly in Google Meet. So that's kind of the best I can do at the moment. But I'm glad everything's acceptable.
All right,
I'm so glad. All right.
I got the chat on my side.
You good? Think it's working?
Yeah, I'm good. I
mean, honestly, dude,
think so.
At this point, as long as your audio is solid and it seems like it is, we can get started. All right.
Let's get started.
All right, guys. So thanks for everyone that's showing up to this live stream, guys. This is at least the first live stream that I've hosted on my channel. And a reason why I wanted to start a live stream of some sort. I don't know how often I want to do it yet. I don't know what time of the week is best for me. But thanks for everyone that's joining here, and I hope that this type of format of content creation can, one, help me be a little bit more accountable and a little bit more motivated to continue, making stuff on YouTube on time and kind of like get motivated to like make new stuff and collaborate. And another big reason why I wanted to start this live stream was so I could hang out with my friends that, just can't get out of the house as much anymore. If we can't meet in person because of the stuff going on in the world, we can at least do virtual chats, virtual hangouts, live streams, all this stuff so we can all stay connected. Tom's in the chat, my friend from the Tedward channel. Thanks for joining. But anyways, I'm going to actually get into the introduction to our guest today, which is my good friend Josh David. So if you could give us a wave here. Josh, could you actually, I'm going to give him the floor because you should explain how we met, because I think the way you say it is awesome.
Oh, geez. Okay, so all right, so hey everyone, really excited to be here. I have the YouTube channel Fixitbongbong, and it's really interesting.
Oh, give us 1 second. You cut out for a second, Josh.
Oh, I'll talk slower.
First stream, woes. It's all good.
Where do I start?
We'll start over, I'd say.
Oh, okay. All right. Hey, everyone. Really excited to be here. David, I have the YouTube channel Fixitbongbong, and it's really interesting how, or really funny how Pawinn and I met a couple years ago. I was doing a multi-part series called Getting Back on Track, where I was actually rebuilding an S50 or refreshing an S50 M3 engine. And, I think I self-admittedly, a lot of times when I make how-to videos or do-it-yourself videos, I always reference other YouTubers' videos so that I can, one, check myself and figure out exactly what I'm doing, so I'm not always a complete idiot making these videos. And I found...
Oh, you cut out for a second again, Josh.
Found Pawinn's channel a long time ago and basically ripped off a bunch of his videos to make my... And I started following him that way. And later in the game, it was ironic. So I found him on Instagram, sent him a message, and was like, hey, man, I've been following you for a while. It's funny because I literally copied your format to make those videos. And we from ripping off his stuff to make my multi-part series is kind of how we befriended.
Yeah, I know. So sorry if Josh's end got cut out, but basically to kind of put the pieces back together on the missing the missing bits and stuff. Basically, we have made different pieces of content using each other's videos or being inspired by each other's videos. And funny enough, we just kind of started a connection in the comments and be like, wait, no way, we use each other's videos to help each other out or get inspired and be motivated. So naturally, I was like, okay, this guy, I need to get in touch with this guy, and I need to become friends with this guy. And so I'm glad that we're now friends. But we have yet to meet in person, which is hopefully happening soon at SEMA. Is that right?
Yeah, but we made it Facebook official. So we became YouTube friends, Instagram friends, and now Facebook friends. So then we get to meet in real life at SEMA. And, I feel like I've known you for a couple years because I've already stalked your whole life on Facebook. So.
I feel like whenever I put myself out there, I'm just like, oh man, like I'm really throwing this content out there, and getting a piece of myself. So hopefully the world takes it as is and likes it. So that's how I feel sometimes with uploading content, because I'm like, I have no idea how people are going to react to this. I just hope that they like it or find it entertaining. But anyways, so I guess what we can move forward to is, I guess the whole point that we wanted to start this stream was kind of get each other up to speed on our projects. So if you could give us some details on what you're working on right now, give us a little bit of a history on your E36 track car, that'd be awesome. I'd love to know, or recap the story and kind of like what your goals are for the car short term.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'll give you the brief history on the E36 track car. I essentially bought it as is. It's a NASA Spec 3 car. Before that, I was actually track. As I started to progress in DEs, I wanted to get something a little bit more, safe and something that was actually a bit more competitive. And a E36 sedan, and actually E36 is actually my favorite body style of BMW. I've always wanted to have one, so I thought it was pretty cool. My first race car, track car, because it's fully caged out, fully gutted, would be an E36. So I got that. Again, it's Spec 3, so stock engine, stock brakes, pretty much stock. It just has safety features, Kony yellow shocks, and basically I just maintain it and I track. And I'm just working my way towards NASA Spec 3. I'm in HPD 2, hoping to get to HPD 3 probably next year and do comp school and that sort of thing. And that's it. It's a spec car. I can't really mod it. If I decide not to do Spec 3, then plans for it was to swap an S50 in or do M3 cam, something of that nature.
I'm telling you, man, you should just do whatever you want to the car and just do grid life events. I'm telling you.
Well, grid life's a little far for me because, VIR is a 2-hour drive from my house. Summit, West Virginia. Yeah, it's unfortunately the community and club that I track with is an awesome community, and it's really easy for me to get to. But I do intend on going to grid life. And to answer your other questions, what other builds I have going on or will have going on, outside I have an E34 that I do want to build into like a time trial car, and that doesn't adhere to any sort of spec standards, so I can do whatever I want with that. I haven't decided what I'm going to swap into it. I have a S52 that I was like, well, it'd be cool to refresh the car with that and boost it. But I'm a big Volkswagen fan, so I thought it'd be really cool to do a VR6 swap into it. I'm also a big LS fan, so I'm kind of between LS or VR6, keep it German. I don't really know. And then I also have recently acquired this E39 that it's in pretty good shape, except it needs a transmission. But I have a really rough E39 3-pedal in the backyard, so in the channel I would like to do a 3-pedal swap into this. And other projects I have going on. I have a 99 Chevy diesel that I'm just going to do like a tow rig build out of.
That's going to be awesome.
And then, yeah, I'm excited for that. But I also bought a short bus, like a 4-window diesel short bus that will be like my track sleeper. So,
dude, your variety of builds, man, is insane. Like what you got your hands on is insane. And it's awesome. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm excited for them. I'm reluctant to call them builds. Right now, it's just in the hoarding status because I haven't exactly done anything to any of them. So really, it's silly to call them builds right now. But no, I am excited for them.
Dude, that's awesome. What would you say would be the one that you're most excited about working on and least excited about working on?
I am. That's tough. Oh, that's really hard. One of them I didn't mention. There's a 98 Forester in the front right here that I wired that I would like to lift and kind of just beat up off roads for pure entertainment. I'm not really fond of that car. I've owned a couple Foresters and I don't know. So I would say that's the one I'm least excited about working on. I've already been in and out of that car once. I'm really excited about starting the build on the bus because I'm tired of camping in the paddock and being sticky and gross, and it'd be nice to have like.
Oh, sorry, I saw that. You know, a bug is big when you can see it on camera. Oh man, you all right? Uh-oh.
So I'm excited to build the bus, but I've always wanted a diesel 1-ton. So I'm excited to work turbo diesel. So I think those are my two like American Chevy diesel projects: the turbo diesel and the bus. They're both GM 6.5s and 6.2s, so the same engine family. I know a lot of people actually hate those. They're kind of known as the underpowered, unreliable GMs before Duramax, but I think if you take care of them and take care of the harmonic dampener, I like the old IDI diesels. I they sound cool to me. And anyway, so I'm excited about those, but I'm most excited about getting this project done because I've always wanted an E39, specifically a 3-pedal E39. And this is probably my cleanest
And you
car.
got a good deal on that car too. If I'm
I don't
mistaken.
remember exactly what I paid for it. Probably right at 1,000 or under it, and it's like really clean. It just needs a transmission.
Dude,
so
frankly, like getting any used car for like less than like a couple grand nowadays is almost like a gold mine. It almost seems like
for
everything
sure.
in the used car market is just going up. Like I was just not complaining, but I was amazed that the other day, like my 2020 Civic Si was appraised for like 28,000, and that's with like 15,000 miles on it. It's like it's insane. Like the market's
Yeah,
nuts.
for
Um,
sure.
but yeah. Oh, hey Carlos, what's going on? I just saw that in the chat. Meow's Garage also said, "Oof, the Forester. I have some parts laying around. My engine started knocking on mine."
Yeah,
You relate?
it was my mom's car. I'm excited to see what it looks like when it's lifted, and maybe I'll respect it a little bit more. But I actually have a longer term vision for it. I highly doubt I'll actually do this, but what I would like to do is rip the EJ out of it, take all the drivetrain out of it, and actually do a solid axle swap, maybe a Cummins R28 swap, and build a true off-road rig. Um, but I don't have that kind of money or time between track stuff and all my other projects. But I think it'd be really cool to turn it into a true truck off-road, something with solid axles. Or there's another YouTube channel. I forget who they are, but they have a SF generation Forester, and they built it to run Baja 500 as like a straight up pre-runner train, and I was really impressed with that. And I was like, man, it'd be really cool to build a desert runner out of that. But
Yeah, it would.
living in the East Coast in Virginia, it's not like I can really test out its desert running abilities. So an off-road rock crawling trail rig would be more conducive to the terrain we have out here. So and all through high school, I actually built Jeeps. I was a big XJ guy. And I was really big into trail riding and like technical like rock crawling stuff. So
Well, dude,
yeah,
that's gonna
so
be. Sounds like it's gonna be epic when you're done with it.
yeah, I think my channel is really not focused at all, and I think that's kind of why I've never really grown much in terms of YouTube. It's I'm always jumping around different projects. I'm really excited.
I don't think there's nothing wrong with having multiple projects, but of course, like, yes, the challenge is which to focus on, and kind of like, okay, I'll do more in this car, more in that car, or this one. I mean, at the same time, like the way I see it is you could also treat it as like, okay, I'm gonna make a video on this car because I happen to be working on the car today. But then, of course, the next challenge is when can I find time to edit the content I just filmed? Like that's always the biggest challenge.
Sure.
You can always film while you're working, but then the post production, you kind of either lose track, you either are tired and just want to put it off, and then if you have a bunch of projects at the same time, that's really where it happens, where it starts becoming a content production timeline challenge, if that makes any sense.
No, that is my downfall, and my biggest struggle is it used to be I was actually pretty good at staying on top of my raw footage and content, but now I have just drives of raw footage from even last year that I still need to get out, that I couldn't release it. In my head, I was like, I can't release it this summer because there was like snow on the ground. That wouldn't really make sense for continuity. And now by the time I get some of these videos out, it's like, well, I had short hair then. Now I have like this mullet thing now. And it's like, people are gonna be like, wait, what? And then, but I'm like, none of that actually matters. And the problem with being OCD, because I'm like really insanely OCD about these things, I assume that people are going to notice that, oh, wait, why is there snow on the ground? Or, oh, his hair is short. You know, like
Yeah.
that
I
sort of stuff doesn't actually matter.
No, it's funny you say that because I get self-conscious about the same exact things when you edit, and the only way you catch that stuff is when you actually start editing your video. You're like, oh dang, I wish I'd done that at a different angle, or oh dang, I'm gonna have to reshoot that of some sort. And I'll tell you, man, I have like footage from late 2019 all the way through 2020, like of me doing stuff on my Civic that I just haven't had the motivation to finish because it's kind of like timed out of relevancy, but then at the same time, I just don't know how to restructure the video so it's like kind of like informative. Like I've started to realize that maybe the best way for me to shoot videos is, okay, I'll shoot all the B-roll that I can on how to, but I'll kind of save the technical explanations for when I'm here in the studio and do like a talking head kind of video where like I kind of walk through the process using the B-roll. Like that's kind of like
smart.
what I might be experimenting with in the future. But dude, I have like stuff like lowering springs to finish production with. I got like these mirror caps for like the Civic. Got all these interior bits and pieces, lighting mods that I haven't really covered, and then stuff with the M3 that I've already shot and filmed. But all that's kind of like 80% in terms of the video stuff. So I get you, man. I get you.
Yeah. Oh, and it's funny you mentioned like that workflow of I already filmed it and I'm going to film the talking head stuff here so I can be more articulate explaining the process. I feel like we're constantly doing is trying to figure out what's a more efficient workflow to figure out a more efficient workflow to get the content out there in a means that doesn't shortchange our audience, right? So
Yes.
that's like the big challenge I find, and also kind of why I stopped doing how-tos, because one, a lot of my how-tos were starting to shortchange people, and people were literally calling me out in the comments, and rightfully so. I was like, yeah, I guess I kind of did skip that step.
Yeah, like the problem with doing the challenge with doing DIY, of course, is you don't want to give half the information. Because you have to either give all the right information and try to get it all done on the first try, like while you film. Like if you're a professional tech, those guys have the advantage. But
yeah,
guys like me and you, we like doing this for fun. And like nowadays, I'm just reconsidering. Like, you know what? I'm just gonna shoot just to get the video content that I need to explain what I did, and that's the best that I can do. Because frankly,
well, there's a reason why in a lot of my early how-to videos, it's always one side, because I spent 4 hours breaking thing on one side of the car so that I'd look like a professional on the other side of the car.
Yep.
And then my cop out, if I was really getting my ass kicked, was, yeah, and installation is just reverse of everything you took apart. And then people were like, dude, F you, thumbs down, unsubscribe, this guy sucks. And I'm like, you're right, I'm just gonna stick to vlogs. I'm sorry.
You know, it's very funny you say that with, and this is with the BMW content, is what you're saying?
Oh God, this is with everything. No, I didn't start with
Really?
BMW. The BMWs followed me here, and it turned into this.
So frankly, what I would say is, we actually got a question in the chat. I just saw that.
Yeah,
we'll answer that in a second. We'll answer that in a second. But yeah, right. What I just noticed is when I make install videos for Acuity, that's my day gig. Is I'm pretty much responsible for all the install videos and all the install PDF guides, essentially nowadays. And my biggest thing that I've noticed is people are very, at least intuitive to understand that the parts go back in the same order from which you took them apart. Now, I don't know if that's because Hondas are easier to work on, per se.
Yes.
But like, yeah, I always feel like whenever I tackled my E36, like doing a project and taking it apart, putting it back together, there's going to be this like one little nuance and little trick to get the part on. And that's what I think people always appreciate in like vlog style videos. But if you miss that and then you just like throw it out and just put it all back together, especially for like a complex German car, and I'm just like, oh man, people are going to hose me in the comments. But at the end of the day,
sure,
we try our best. I mean, we can't always expect to get every fine line in detail. And actually my friend, my good friend Chris, he actually told me some good piece of advice on content creation where like you care about putting 110% when people have already stopped caring at 80%. And
Right.
in my opinion, that's kind of like something I've been trying to get better at with editing, where like, I could try to do 110% every single time, but at some point it's going to burn me out. So I got to backtrack it. Okay, where will 80% get me? And can I be happy at 80%? And that's kind of where I'm trying to resettle myself in the content creation space, because I'm just like you. I have OCD on exactly how I edit stuff, what I say, and how the final product looks, and I care a lot about that stuff. And that's a big reason why I've lost a lot of motivation to get certain videos out, is because, man, I didn't really feel like I gave it my best, and should I give up? No, but I'm definitely gonna need some time to rework around it and try to figure out what I want to do. So that's kind of what I'm working on at the moment, at least for the general content stuff.
For sure.
Oh yeah. So Meow's Garage says, how do you feel about rust and living in New England on the East Coast and snow? So I don't know how it is down in Virginia, but up here in New England, it's bad.
This is how I solve for a lot of. First off, it's not bad in Virginia. Well, I live in Richmond, Virginia, so I would say like half of the state and down is kind of where the South starts. So we really don't get that much salt, that much snow. But if you go to Northern Virginia, it's kind of where the snow salt belt starts.
Mm-hmm.
And I typically will refuse to buy a car, work on a car from there because of, rust. And Pawinn, when we first started kind of chatting, I was like, dude, Boston, like how do you work on a car? Or when I have friends in the Midwest, I'm like, in cars, if I had to buy PB blaster in bulk and soak everything like weeks in advance. But no, I hate rust. I absolutely hate rust. And if anything, I usually cut things out if I can. I'll use heat or just PB blaster and try not to buy anything from the north.
My perspective is, if there was rust but no winter, I would mentally be able to compromise with that. But combined working with rusty cars in a garage that may or may not be heated, that's the worst. Rusted parts that break and you're cold as hell. Like, that's just terrible mix in my opinion. And that's, hopefully one day I'll either have a nice, well heated garage in the future.
Yeah.
I'm praying. I just hope the housing market doesn't continue to inflate. Because I can't afford a house at the moment in my area.
House and garage and space for next to nothing.
I know. I'm very jealous. I know you keep pushing to buy your neighbor's house across the street for like $200K. I'm so jealous.
Hey.
Oh my god, so tempting.
But in terms of rust in cars, like my E36 is it's a 93. And it was a E36 with winter package before it was a track car, and there's absolutely no rust anywhere in that car. The rocker, everything. It's like truly a Virginia, or I think it came from North Carolina. It's just a Southern car, so really don't feel any rust. And this E39 was always a Virginia car, no rust at all. So I feel like I'm a bit spoiled. What we do have to deal with though here is a lot of sun fading, sun damage. I wouldn't say as bad as like Arizona or Texas
but just like general carnage from just like the heat of the sun, repeated like blasting of,
but you get the sun shields and you do that. I mean, you definitely want AC here, but I feel like you would also in Boston in the summer,
Well, I would have never known. I've never owned or experienced an E36 with working AC. So.
Yeah, mine doesn't have AC. That's true, but yeah.
That's my problem though. So I like, as much as I like to complain about the issues that I'm finding in this M3, man, it's
dude, sell it to me. I want.
Well, if I can't figure out all these small little nuances with the car, maybe I'll consider it. I mainly my biggest motivation purchasing that car though was actually the lack of rust. When I looked up like the what's it called, the Carfax, the car came from like Hawaii at some point. And so I knew that if that car spent at least its first 15-ish years in like a really tropical environment, who knows how the salt conditions are over there, but the car that I got was pretty much rust-free enough where the factory jack pads could snap in place like very, very tight. And so I'm like, that's pretty impressive. That's the best condition chassis that I ever found, and that's the biggest reason why I
Yeah,
jumped on it.
I don't know much about Hawaii, but my thought is island surrounded by salt water. I don't know if I would have thought like, but hey, you know, if you're saying it doesn't have rust,
Yeah, I know
that's
that
cool.
cars in the Cape, like Cape Cod, Massachusetts, those cars rust out because one, you got the wintry conditions, salty conditions, and then you have the constant humidity coming in from the ocean. So those cars, like just parking, start falling apart. It's nuts.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
But let's see. Okay, let's move on to another talking point because I have a couple notes that we had from the last conversation. So we've talked about some of our builds, talked about our E36 goals. What's something upcoming that you need to tinker on for the E36?
Last track weekend, 2 weekends ago, I picked up some track debris and it ripped off my braided steel brake line. So
No, like it just sheared it off.
Sheared it right off. Yeah, at the crimp at the banjo bolt, like just right off. And the crazy thing about that was, and I don't remember if I told you the story. Who's attending this live stream, but I was at VIR and at turn 3, I heard a loud bang, and the car got loose on me. In my head, I was like, "Oh, well, that's got to be suspension related." But if it was anything major, I'd already be off into the grass somewhere. So
Yeah,
I just sway bar link or something. But there's like this nagging like gut instinct, like you should just like take it in, just pit in, like whatever, man. It's just a DE. You're not racing. Like it's not that big of a deal. So I decided to take it in, and I treated it like a cool down. And on my cool down laps, I usually coast it in. I usually use third or second. Never touch my brakes so that they get as cool as possible. And I'm glad I did, because when I got into the paddock, taking off my wheels and tires, pulled the front passenger wheel off and saw that the brake hose right out of the banjo crimp junction.
Jeez.
And that looseness was fluid all over my tire, all in the wheel well. Cringed at that because I was thinking, had I done one more hot lap, I would have done 100 and something into the next braking zone.
You would have become the guy that caused the oil spill or the fluid spill on the track.
Well, yeah, they would have, definitely, black flagged the whole session because I'd taken out like the tires and the Armco, so, and I would have lost my car, and then, that would have sucked. So
kind of sounds like how the last, I think the last Grid Life event I was at Midwest was kind of like that, where we had a couple guys that would go out, and then within the first 2 laps, black flag, or the session gets reset at the grid because someone just goes in too hot, or someone has a mechanical failure that they didn't completely resolve, and it just went boop around the track.
Yeah, I never want to. Pretty conservatively, like I'm not a big risk taker, I don't think, and but if a session ever gets black flagged because of me, it will certainly be because my car did something, something sketchy with my car, whether I dropped coolant because I'm not running water. I should be running water, but I'm still running coolant, or my dip tie let go and something bad happened. But anyway, so yeah, that's the next thing I tinker with on my E36. How about you?
Cool. For me, I mean, after my screw up on those control arms, I have a new set of control arms that's OEM spec. Well, actually, it's a non-M set of control arms with offset bushings for where they mount in the lollipops. So essentially doing that provides, apparently on their description, it gives you the OEM spec of that control arm, but it allows you to save money from buying the genuine control arm, which is basically I saved half the cost of buying an OEM set for an M3 by buying this set that's a non-M with refresh bushings and the offset lollipop bushings. So that I got to do. I think I'm hoping the parts come tomorrow. I'm probably going to tackle them this weekend. And then I really got to try to figure out where these codes are coming from with my check engine light. And basically the check engine light, from all the feedback that I got from Quinn, Gavin, my buddy Sam, who's actually in the same building as this. I got to have him on the stream sometime because we're basically neighbors and we have the same E36 M3, same year. And we park next to each other, so we know it's official now.
Oh, you have to.
Yeah. But anyways, we kind of figured out that the check engine light code that I'm getting is too generic. Like, I'm reading a code set for, I think, P1188, P1189, and that code is something, to what Quinn says, doesn't really exist. It's just kind of something that's thrown by the actual scanner just to throw code because that's its best guess. So I got to go to a shop, and I think I'm going to run down to my buddy Billy, who works at the shop with Frank's Auto down the road, and we're probably going to get the code scanned over there because he has a scanner that can read the manufacturer DTCs. So I'm crossing my fingers that this is going to be what allows me to figure out that check engine light and just enjoy the car at least stress-free, just kind of like putting it through its paces. And aside from that, front control arms next, check engine light, and then I have to pretty much overhaul the rear suspension, where I have to do a new sway bar with new bushings, but then I have to do these new diff mounts because the current mounts have this like support like limiter like plate on the back that basically rubs right into the rear sway bar. So the rear sway bar can't even be mounted properly without rubbing on it. And the current bushings in the rear sway bar just don't exist either. They're just completely worn through. They either fell out or were never put in because the sway bar that's in it is like really thick and you can barely see enough space for even a bushing to fit. So I'm going to order a new sway bar for the rear with the bushing kit. And while I'm in there, I'm going to hopefully do a rear trailing arm pocket reinforcement plate. And then I'm going to do the full Condor Speed sleeper kit on the car. And I'll probably piece part of it together in the front end while I have that apart and then piece together the rear end when I have that ready. But aside from that, I've already done tires. I've already checked the brake system out.
The whole Christmas list. And aside from that.
Yeah, the whole Christmas list. I mean, you've already heard my stories with that, like brake lines being kinked.
Oh my God.
That was a headache. I wish I caught that sooner. I would have really railed the guy I bought it from for a cheaper price tag because I still think I kind of got ripped off because the guy didn't know anything. And I had to track down like not the previous owner, but the previous owner just to get an idea on what's going on in the car and what's happening.
Jeez.
But, my buddy Eli's in the stream. He says, yo, I forgot to check in the stream. How's it going? Thanks for coming, buddy. It's going pretty well.
Hey, bud.
I think. Hopefully you get to
I'm having fun.
Yeah, dude. I think it's going great for our first stream. What's the best starter BMW to buy now that we're on topic?
Ooh.
With a budget of around 10K. Ooh. 10K
Ooh, that's
budget.
a great... Okay, hold on. I have qualifying questions to this though. How will you be using it? Is this a daily? Is this a drift car? Is this a grip car, like track road stuff? Is this, what other things do people do BMWs for? Is this a drag racing car?
What
like,
don't people use old crusty BMWs for nowadays?
Yeah. Like, how will you be using this car? Oh, autocross. I didn't think about autocross.
Well, it's funny because like when I first did autocross, I never knew how much of a beating it puts on cars because of the short, the short changes and like acceleration and all that stuff. I personally think autocross is a little stressful in comparison to road racing.
I know you're right. I didn't think it would be, but it is. I started autocrossing in my Corolla, and all the steam started to paint crack. Like I started getting cracks in it. And I was like, this can't be good.
Oh no.
So back to the question. Wait, was that a live stream question?
Yeah, it was a live stream question. So this guy says the response to your question was track, straight line, and I prefer as modern as possible, maybe an 06 above.
Okay. Actually, so track, straight line. So they want to do some road course, and then straight line. I assume that means like drag racing, street stuff.
You could probably pick up a base 325 for a pretty decent price. Probably.
Yeah.
It probably might end up being maybe like a higher mileage one, maybe like 125, 150K. I'm curious.
It was a BMW, right? I feel like you can find what was the 2000 and hold on, I gotta see.
Well,
I don't
hold
even
on.
know.
Let me Google this. Hold on, we can go.
Yeah,
I set myself up for this. See, let's do a quick Google search. Let's do BMW. I don't know, 325i.
Here it is.
Used.
So
what are you looking on right now? I'm gonna go into.
I just want to.
Go ahead. Oh, I lost you, Josh.
So, you lost me?
Oh, you're back.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure I had the designation right, but I think an E90, so like 2004 to whenever they stopped making these, 2004 body style 3 Series, I think was kind of like whereas what a lot of my friends say is the last of the drivers BMWs. It's naturally aspirated.
Mm-hmm.
You can get them in 3-pedal. And pretty reliable. They're natural aspirated. I think I already said that. And they're really comfy. But if you wanted to get something cheaper to then have more of your, I guess, allocate towards some mods, then I would say, see, E36 are coming up in value a lot. I would jump on an E40.
I'm surprised.
I would find it.
I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing right now. I don't know what you're looking through, but I'm looking at like, wow, there's like 2011, 2009 3 Series that are going for just under 10K nowadays. That's
well, I was looking at one on Facebook, a 2011 for 7K at like 165K on it. I think that's a pretty good deal. And you could certainly just have fun, doing some DEs on the weekend and doing some minor upgrades here and there to make it like a straight line car. But you wanted a more raw feeling, I think. And this is just opinion. I don't know much about a lot of BMWs, but I think a good bang for your buck now would be finding an E46 330i. I think it's just the evolution of E36 and just with a little bit more power. And you could certainly build a track monster out of that for not much. And I think that's what I would do.
It's very interesting because right now we're in my opinion, the E36 market is definitely inflated for the M3s, but for the regular 3 Series, they haven't really inflated too much. So it's kind of like, so my opinion on this is I would nowadays, knowing that the newer BMWs at least can be a little bit more budget friendly in comparison to trying to find like an M car, E46 definitely agree with you on the table because, again, like you said, it's an evolution. But then at the same time, there are improvements on handling characteristics, performance characteristics, and frankly, the part availability is probably going to be pretty big in that platform at this time because E36s are saturated. So, for example, I'm running into issues where I can't find a knuckle for an M3 for less than like $200, $300 for just the knuckle if I wanted to get that one piece to replace. Whereas maybe like a couple of years ago, I could pick one up from a junkyard for maybe like $50, So I guess my perspective on this is the older platforms are starting to get rare with certain cars, and that's why there's like a huge inflation price. I mean, there's an inflated market in general, but like with E30s, those are starting to become unattainable because you can't really find ones that are unmolested for a really, really cheap price, in my opinion, or ones that are like not beat to hell. Because the E36 is that you can at least get lucky nowadays. I still have friends that can find E36s for like mad cheap that are owned by like a one owner, older person that just wants to get rid of the car and retire or whatever. But that's pretty much it. So I would say I'm on the same page as you. I would probably shoot for like an E46 or newer. And I wouldn't mind about having one that's higher mileage, like 100,000 to 150,000, as long as cooling systems have been checked out. If it's been redone, huge plus. But stuff like all the regular maintenance been done, if there's any certain recalls that are important, like I know for the E46 M3 platform, the what's it called? The crank, is it the main bearings that were very important?
I'm sorry, I was what? I was looking at other alternatives.
Oh, you know how the E46 had like the M3 main bearing problem from like the very early on, and there's like some cars that are still haven't had that done, and then there's ones that when they sell them, that's like the very first headline is like, oh yeah, this car's had the recall done.
The S54, the S54s had the main bearing problem.
I don't know. I'm probably thinking of it wrong in my head, but I remember that there was a major work on those engines that needed to be done on the earlier models.
I know that the later like E93, like the V8 BMWs had, the early ones had the main bearing problems. The M5s after the E39 series had some main bearing problems. That if you get ahead of it, sure, it's a pain. You got to do your main bearings, but you're good. I mean, they are race engines, right? So
Yeah, true.
I don't think it's the end. It's not the end of the world, but if you find one and the bearings are just wiped, then you're gonna have bigger issues.
True.
I had an alternative. I had to sneak this alternative in because the budget. And Pawinn, I think you know where I'm going to go with this. I know you said BMW, but I would like to sneak in. You should look into a B6 S4 Audi. I would say that they don't handle as well as a BMW, but they do straight line.
Where's my buddy Eli in
What?
the chat when you need him? I hope he saw that. He would have loved that comment from you. B6 S4.
Yeah, a B6 S4. I had a B6 A4 that I had a lot of potential. I don't think they don't handle like a BMW, but you can certainly do the work to get them to try and tune out that understeer, thicker rear sway bar, and camber in the front as possible with offset strut offsets at the top. But all in all, they're very refined, and they're very quick. And yeah, you have the Volkswagen problems with them, but I would argue that BMWs have their own BMW problems. So Eurocars are Eurocars, but I think they'll have the same charms and are equally as premium. And I would honestly a B6 S4 than an E46 or an E36. So that's I'd sneak that in there. Look into Volkswagen or Audi. If not Audi, and you want a car that would be a great track car and a great straight line car, I don't know if you can find this for under 10. Probably not a Mark 7 GTI, but a Mark 6
maybe.
Maybe a 6, yeah, Mark 6, a higher mileage Mark 6, and just tune it.
Yeah.
And it'll be really quick and handle pretty well. But it's not a BMW. So sorry, I had to throw that in there.
Well, hey, I mean, I think that was a good input, man. Oh, same guy says he saw an Audi A4 2OT. What do you think of that?
Yeah. Granted,
I guess for me, after owning a turbo car or two turbo cars, so the E36 boosted one and my Civic, like, my opinion with turbo cars, I guess I don't have a lot of seat time. Well, I don't have any seat time, frankly, on the track myself, but I would be more comfortable driving an NA car knowing that, especially if this is like a budget track car, I feel like as a budget track car, avoiding forced induction as a beginner is probably wise for less headaches. Because, for example, with my M3 right now, I'm chasing down a check engine light, right? And I can narrow down everything to at least air-fuel mixture, so it's either ignition, fuel, and that's pretty much it, or vacuum leak. Well, but I feel like the vacuum leaks have been sorted, at least to the best of my ability. So when you add a turbo to the mix, a lot of other things, you add a mechanical component that could fail too. Well,
and what I was going to say, at least, and I would imagine this would be an issue in BMW because I feel like it's the running joke on E36s, E46s, but you throw a issue with turbos on the track with Volkswagen is cooling. Like, it's really hard to keep a Mark 7 cool on the track. It was the reason why I never even tried to track my Mark 7 when I had it. So,
well, dude, even the new 10th gen Civic Type Rs, those cars overheat so much. Even my buddy Eddie, he's done hood vents, he's done aftermarket components. We've done the Acuity hoses that flip the flow to optimize the airflow through all the exchangers, and that car still overheats. Not even on a hot day, it'll overheat if he pushes it really hard on
a track that doesn't have a lot of speed. Same with Subaru WRX and STIs. I see those overheat a lot. Just throwing shade at Subaru because I'm annoyed at the Forester out there, but I just see them overheat a lot at the track, and I'm like, man, that's not good. So maybe it depends how much use you want out of it. But I think if it's going to be your daily driver and it's going to see track use, every once in a while, I still think a turbo could be fun. But yeah, if you're going to be getting pretty serious tracking this once a month, through track season, what, 6 months out of the 5 months out of the year or so. Yeah, I'd go NA. So maybe that brings us right back to BMW.
Cool.
Well, he said BMW. I was gonna say, whoa, what about Japanese? And they're gonna be reliable all day. Or Honda. I don't know. Now I'm just, there's a scope creep for you. I'm sorry. Let's move on.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, we're already in the questions, so I think we might as well go into the questions that we had set up, because I took a couple polls on Instagram, and you got a couple questions too, and we put in some random fillers just to see how it goes. But I guess we'll just kind of throw the floor to whoever wants to ask us questions. I know Meow's Garage had a couple Honda questions. I don't know if he's still in the chat and wants to participate there, but I'll try my
other
best
computer
to answer.
disconnected. So I can't see the chat or what's going on.
I'll read it right out to you. But while we wait for people to kind of populate in the live chat, so what's next for the channel, I guess? That's the first question I got.
You go first. You go.
Me?
I feel like I've been talking too much.
So what's next for the channel? I actually have 2 videos I just uploaded. I haven't figured out when I want to publish them, but one is for a video I had filmed early last year, putting a rear motor mount insert into my Civic Si. And basically, if you're not familiar with the rear motor mount, it's very similar to Volkswagen's, I think, where there's just this dog bone mount essentially that just kind of prevents the rotation of the powertrain in the engine bay, or doesn't prevent it, it dampens it. And in a Civic, you don't really notice the difference until you throw an insert in or you throw a new aftermarket component, because what I noticed, at least, I saw a big improvement in throttle response and shifting consistency. Less flex in the whole assembly made it, for some reason, easier to shift through gears, at least more reliably and consistently. And aside from that, I finally wrapped up a video on replacing the rear shocks on the E36 M3, because that was actually the first thing I had to do in the car before I even comfortably drove it, because there was a huge clunk in the rear. And when I took the mounts out, I mean, you guys will see in the video, it was completely blown out. Like, there was no connection between the top of the shock and the mount. It was just kind of floating there. And I'm pretty sure the rear strut bar was preventing everything from shooting through. But yeah, those are the 2 videos that I directly have on the channel, ready to upload soon and make public. Another thing I have coming up is I owe a video for RimGuard, which actually sponsored a set of wheel locks for the Civic. And I installed a giveaway set on a local's car, and I'm going to be doing a quick video on that, just kind of getting his input on why it's valuable to him, because he had a funny story where his coworker had his wheels stolen, and we were trying to get a set for both him and the coworker that lost his wheels in his Accord, but it was so bad that eventually that guy sold the car because he didn't want the attention from the car that he had, because he just didn't believe that it wouldn't happen again. And so he actually left the company, so we never actually ended up getting in touch. So that sucked. But we ended up working with a giveaway set for that guy, so hopefully that's going to make for some good content. And then, of course, I have a backlog. So I got stuff like shift boot replacement on the 2020 Civic Si, a couple body mods. I have 27.1 turbo inlet pipe to install in it, talking about tunes. E36 control arms, like I mentioned before. E36 rear suspend. Oh, so much track prep to come up. And I'm just looking at it, and I'm gonna have a busy winter.
You're in the pit, man.
I'm gonna have a busy winter, that's for sure.
You got a lot, yeah. Wow. All right. So, what do I have? So next on the channel, currently in edit, I've got, I think it's a 3-part on getting my '97 Nissan D21 back on the road. So, if you're into JDM stuff, it's completely stock, but it's a Nissan, and that'll be interesting. And if you've ever seen my channel, true to that theme, I get my ass kicked really hard, so that'll be good. After
frankly,
that,
I love seeing your raw emotion, because I think that's what makes the personality and the entertainment value out of your videos, man. It's just because it's so relatable. Like, I don't curse in my videos, mainly because that's just how I like to run things. But man, it is so satisfying to see, like, you just vent about it, because I'm just like, oh, I feel like I'm getting my emotions out just watching your content.
hold on, I am changing the battery pack. My camera just died.
Oh, good, buddy.
No, and I appreciate that. Oh, sorry, let me get this working again. Sorry. No, I appreciate that. I try and keep it real. Oh, why is this not working?
All right, well, while you figure that out, I just
Yeah.
saw another question pop up. What do you want to see with the 11th gen Civic Si? Oh, actually, sorry. Were you gonna say something? I'll go back.
Okay,
to this
yeah, I'm
question.
back. Okay, yeah, I'll make it quick and brief. So Nissan D21
Oh, I lost you for a second.
Nissan D21 content. I will start tearing into the Subaru Forester, and that will be making that road legal again, lifting it, that sort of thing. I've got some old content I'm getting back on. So I have track vlogs that I'm
Lost you there for a second again. Oh, did we lose him for sure? Oh no. Hello.
I'm back.
You're back? Yes.
God, I don't know when I got cut off.
Hey, it's
this
okay.
Is ridiculous.
You got cut off right when you started talking about getting a lifted Forester roadworthy and inspected.
Yep. Okay. So Subaru Forester's up next, and I've got some track vlogs. Got some Jeep content from last year, so and I think I'll start working on the diesels next, and then at some point paint the interior, paint the roll cage, fix the brake line, and actually get this ready for next track season ahead of time, not like a month before having to tow it out there.
Oh man, so, I swear to God, man, if I have a chance to go down there and I'm gonna, well, you don't have a passenger seat. Dang, I was gonna say I want to ride shotgun.
I do.
Car. Oh, you do?
I do.
For some reason, I totally thought you didn't. But dude, that's exciting.
Yeah, you just can't see it in the GoPro because I'm so short. My seat's all the way forward, and you can't see the passenger seat.
That's what I'm really worried about, how high I'm gonna sit if I ever get a racing seat. I mean, they're adjustable, and you can get brackets to like set your height, but like not having that easy adjustment, it's gonna take some getting used to for sure.
I was worried about that too, but I'll tell you, I thought mine would be slammed to the top, and mine is actually like one tick down. So, and you're taller than me, so I think you'll be fine. I think you'll be fine.
But all right. Okay, all right. Meow's Garage says, "What do you think? What do you want to see with the 11th gen Civic Si?"
By the way, I love that person's handle, Meow's Garage.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty neat name. It's funny because when I came with the channel name Pawinning, I was like, oh, I can't think of anything else, but I'm just gonna use my name as a verb and run with it. And now I can't go back. It's done.
Yeah, I wish I could change mine now, but it's too. I've had it for so long. It's like whatever.
Yeah. Searching up images of the 11th gen Civic Si. So
wait, look this up.
The latest pics. So here's my thing. I was kind of disappointed in the look of the Si in terms of how different it looks in comparison to the base model. Now, who knows? There's still camo print vinyl all over the car. There's definitely features that are hidden on it. So I'm not sure if that's going to be the final product, but I was kind of hoping for a front end on the 11th gen Civic Si that at least had a little bit more distinguished features than the base model, aside from like a different grille that's similar to the hatch, because there's like a honeycomb grille that I see on it. I don't know, it kind of looks awkward for me with that wing on the back too, because I liked how full the back end looked on the 10th gen Civic a lot. And I feel like the front end of the 11th gen does a good job on that, but the rear end for the sedan looks a little bit, I don't know, a little bit pedestrian to me. I don't even know what that is an appropriate description. But it kind of looks like it blends in too much. I feel like they kind of toned down the 11th gen a little bit too much, but the strategy that I think that they were going for was they want to provide a car that enthusiasts can really take over, if that makes any sense. Like, they want this to be a car that's a blank canvas and people put their imagination on it, because the 10th gen Civic was very loud in the design. It was very loud in the styling. It was like a what's it called, a boy racer kind of vibe is what a lot of people described it. And this 11th gen, it just feels a complete different approach than the 10th gen. So understandably, a lot of the 10th gen guys are hating on the new platform, but I'm surprised to also see older Honda guys that didn't have 10th gens actually starting to look at the 11th gen. So it's kind of interesting how the group of people criticizing the new generation is associated with at least the outgoing generation, in my opinion. But I want to see specifically for this car, I hope that the final product is going to be just a little bit more aggressive, just a little bit more styling on it. I already know from looking at technical documents of the center console and stuff like that the shifter, in my opinion, is probably going to be about the same caliber as a 10th gen. It just looks like it's going to have the same fit, finish, and feel. And we know that the drivetrain is going to be very similar. It's going to be a 1.5T that's revamped with, like, I think a new turbo, some different tuning stuff on it. So it's going to be more powerful, which I expect to have, or at least more. What's the best word? It's going to handle and perform better on track is what I think is going to happen, and that's what I expect from it. But that being said, for me personally, I'm not looking for the next generation SI. I'm actually already just going to skip ahead and wait for the next gen Type R. That's just my opinion. I think because I've already switched from a 2017 SI to a 2020 SI, making the jump from that to a 22 Honda Civic SI just doesn't seem in the cards for me, nor logical, because I'm not even done halfway paying through this new car, you know? So I want to get to the point where my equity works out in more favor before I even consider the next generation. But have you seen the new 11th gen Type R, by the way, dude? 11th gen.
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have. I think I have. I don't.
The latest renders.
Is that the same as like the Integra? Is that what people are talking about? Because I'm pretty sure that's what we're talking about,
so,
right? Like, I think that
a huge part of the confusion is China has a Honda Integra that is extremely confusing for the new Acura Integra because of the way I don't even know how to describe it. The Honda Integra in China is not going to be the same as the Acura Integra, and that's where the huge confusion lies. The Acura Integra is going to be its whole own separate thing in terms of design, styling, and powertrain that I hope. But then the Honda Integra for China is just going to be almost equivalent to how the TSXs and Integras were the same way back in the early 2000s, if that makes any sense. But it's a huge amount of confusion with that. But I don't know.
I mean, I'm just seeing renders here. I mean, it looked what I saw. Maybe I was looking at the China version.
It's too soon. It's too soon for the Integra, in my opinion. But that's the only other car that I would consider as a new daily driver. And my buddy Eddie Siegel, he's the guy with the Acuity wrapped Type R that's been running for the past couple races at Grid Life. And we were discussing it, and he was like, "Yeah, 11th gen Type R seems nice, but there's nothing." He's like in the same shoes. There's nothing hugely substantially different with the next Type R from his platform that he'll make a jump, unless they do like 4-wheel drive or like paddle shift transmission, not a CVT but like a DCT or something like that. But in my case, I'm looking for a bigger jump than just a newer model year, if that makes any sense. But I just don't know when I'm going to be ready for it. But if the Integra turns out to be like what it is hyped up to be, that might be the only vehicle that might dethrone my decision on the next Type R, but I'm not sure.
So I'm not sure if I'm looking at what China's getting or is the Type R, but
show me
the renders I'm looking.
Just turn the phone. I bet I can see it right here.
Does that help?
Oh yeah, that one is. I mean, it's blurry, but I can tell by the color because I've seen similar pictures. I think you're looking at the Honda Integra in China. Because the Acura Integra doesn't even have enough teasers to really form a solid rendering, in my opinion. It's a lot of speculation at the moment still.
It says 2023 Acura Integra by Motor Trend. I think this is it, because this is like Super Street was putting this one out. Yeah, this is the 2023 Acura. Like this guy? Oh, quit focusing on my face. That guy.
So that one I think is a more accurate depiction because it's based off of a new.
I'm into that. Like, I'm totally into that. Like. Yeah. I think that's sweet.
I just don't want a car that is bigger than an Accord, because for me, I'm a small person. I like my Civic, and my Civic already as it is it's a pretty big car.
What I like about it is it's truly a nod to the lines of the previous generation. I'm still, if you can't tell, I'm a little still hurt about the NSX and how it's not really at all a nod to the OG NSX. You know? That's how I feel about the current NSX.
Yeah, I feel that. Speaking of which, I gotta find a first gen and second gen NSX manual
and
to
it's
work on.
actually how I. Oh, that's right. You're mentioning that.
It's gonna be tough. But sorry,
The
you were saying?
current Supra, how I feel about the Supra versus the Mark IV. Like, I don't feel like Toyota Supra. I'm not saying it's not a great car.
I mean, I agree with you. I like the new Supra. Like, I think the new Supra
Yeah,
is in its own. Like, if you treat it, it's hard. It's a mixed bag of opinions because when you tear
well,
the
yeah,
car apart, you see BMW logos all over the parts. So really, it's a
yeah.
car that was
I
made by
don't.
BMW. But
Yeah, that it doesn't bother me that it was co-designed because
no,
it's just the same as like a BRZ and a 86 or whatever.
yeah,
Like that doesn't
exactly.
bother me. It just bothers me that they would use the Supra brand but not actually truly pay any homage to the original Supra.
I
Like
mean,
they're just taking that brand equity, slapping it on a BMW and be like, "Yep, Supra."
well, the reality of it is, did it work? Yes, it did. People ate it up.
Did it?
Well, look at how
Did
SEMA went with like the 50 Supras that showed up the first year they came
it?
out. Still,
Would you rather have a Mark IV twin turbo 3-pedal Supra or a new BMW? I mean Supra. Like what would you rather have?
I don't know, man. I mean, like, I'm always torn because I love daily driving a car that's the newest, latest, and greatest stuff. But as a project, so okay, if it was a daily driver choice, I would probably go for the newer one. If it was a project car choice and it was going to become the car that I put a ton of money and effort and time into, I will probably do the older Supra because I think there's a more rewarding experience working on that car as it being nostalgic and stuff like that. Does that satisfy? Is that a satisfactory answer for you?
No, I respect your opinion. I have a differing opinion. I would pick. Yeah, no, I love the 2JZ. I think that is the end all be all reliable inline six. I'm not saying I don't love a BMW Slant 6. I just think that the 2JZ is that's the engine.
Well, I mean, if you ever want to drive my E36 Turbo, that's as close to a German 2JZ you're gonna get.
Yeah. I mean, now this is a good discussion. What is the most equivalent to a German 2JZ?
That's what I think is a boosted M50.
But see,
Or if you're talking about displacement, maybe you should do an S50.
BMW engines are slants. They're slant six engines. They're not they're not like a true vertical. Like and I'm not sure that really now I don't know if I'm being pedantic, but like I just feel like in my head, for some odd reason, when I think German 2JZ, I think Mercedes OM606, which isn't even a gas engine, but it is like in design, I think closest to a 2JZ and reliability wise closest to a 2JZ. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on.
No, dude, no. I think it's good topics. Let's see. Oh, question for Josh. I saw. Have you ever tracked an automatic BMW or tracked an automatic car in general?
Yeah. What I didn't mention earlier when I was saying my first autocross car was a Corolla.
Ah, I remember that.
It was an automatic, and
you sold that too to a college student, right?
A high school. It was my coworker, and she was like, "My daughter needs her first car," and I was like, "Well, let me tell you about this car. It's got a really good potential, and it would be really cool if she got into autocross or started tracking it." But yeah, my introduction to like motorsport and tracking was in an automatic, and actually, I started my YouTube channel with that Corolla because I bought it for $500. Someone is just gonna like send it to the junkyard, and all it needed was a power steering rack. So I fixed it, and I was like, well, what can I do with it now? Like, what would be entertaining for YouTube? And I was like, I know, I'm going to go break it in autocross. So I just kept it in like 2 or 1 and just had it off the red line the whole time. And when it didn't blow up, and I was like, all right, let's install a suspension, get some sticky tires, and actually take it on track. And I just had such a blast with it. I was like, yeah, let's get a real track car. But yeah, I've absolutely tracked an automatic, and you know, of course I prefer a manual, but I'm I've been toying with this idea. I'm not sure if any, you know, let me know if this you want to see. I want to start a series called "Can I Track This?" where I basically just get
Dude,
like
that's a good
mundane,
idea.
boring cars. Like I don't want to insult anyone if I call a car boring, but basically just cars that you wouldn't think to ever track, not even associated performance. Throwing sticky tires on them, better brakes, and just taking them out on track. And because the whole thing that I believe in is you don't need a performance car, a fancy. It's all about getting out there and having fun. And the reality is, at least for me, I like going out on track because I like to pretend I'm an F1 driver. Like
And I
it's
mean,
it's all yeah, it's about
I
having
mean,
fun.
it kind of goes back to to a topic where, okay, do you want to be able to drive a car that's fast, or do you want to be able to drive a car where you can push it to its limits, no matter what setting it's in? And I
For
feel like
sure.
if you
I mean,
run
that's
that, I feel like if you run that not Civic, you run that idea, you're gonna run into a lot of opportunities where like this is so much fun because I'm just redlining this 2001 Honda Odyssey
oh, dude,
around a
Odysseys on
corner.
track are pretty nasty though. I've seen some hopped up Odysseys on track, and they
Dude,
are
have
nasty.
you seen the I forget I think it's Honda Racing the HPD Odyssey that raced at Grid Life last year? It was epic. It was so
I
funny to see a
believe I
minivan.
believe it was at Hyperfest this year. I think I actually have some video of it. But shoot, what I was gonna say, the other part though, the benefit aside from what you just said, which is totally true, the other benefit to having a very basic car or a whatever car on track is when you get that point buy or when you pass that Porsche GT3 in your Toyota Corolla automatic, you feel like the biggest boss ever. And then, you know, 36 that's like caged out and it's a race prepped race car. And I'm just like, oh, well, shoot, that's darn. Or when I pass a car and people are like, well, yeah, you should. It's a race car. I'm like, well, it's not so fun. It's fun to troll people in a car that's not meant to be on the track.
Yeah, it's
So
interesting because I've always debated that too with my choice with this car being my first track build, being like, okay, this is a car that's known to be good on track, and I kind of wanted to play it safe there. But then at the same time, I'm not trying to be the person that's like, haha, how does it feel to get past in like a
oh yeah, for
90s
sure.
car,
Like
Like, I'm just
yeah,
trying to have fun with it. But at the same time, I feel like when you drive those cars that you're trying to get into,
right,
the opportunity with that is just you can't pass that up. Like it's just
right,
like come on, you gotta have fun, and you gotta make sure that you keep people on your feet. Because it reminds
right.
me. Sorry, keep going.
Oh no, I was gonna say it, and to be clear, like I don't, like no, that's not what it's about. Like it truly is about having fun and you know being a good person in the community and helping each other learn to drive better. It just depends. The best car to track is the car you have access to. That being said, if you can get an E36, I think it's undisputed that they are a very good track car. E36, E46, they're very well balanced, they're very predictable, and they're very forgiving. So E36s, E46s aren't the fastest cars, but just like Miatas, they will teach you how to become a better driver so that you can take those skills with you to a much more that Porsche GT3s, whatever later, you can transfer those skills to much faster cars.
It's
So
more like
I just want to make that point clear.
no, I think it's really relatable to like an initial D quote where it's kind of like it's a type of car that will teach the driver. It's a type of car that will train the driver. It's not a car where it has so many assist features and all this stuff. Like, yeah,
For sure.
but oh man, oh yeah, sorry, Jazz Neo. I saw that you said that you didn't get the notification. That was because I actually had to restart a new stream because for some reason my stream from my OBS software wasn't going to the original listing. So I apologize. I just had to just start from scratch and just do a whole new stream. And I think moving forward, I'm not even going to try to schedule one. I'm just going to be like, go live. Just bang. And just tell everyone on Instagram. If you want to join, you want to join. But what I'm working on is how often. So if you guys have any input on like, hey, yeah, Wednesday night is a good time to do this every week or every other week, I might make this a thing. I'm going to try to have Josh on as much as possible, schedule permitting. But I might honestly just to start live streaming on my own, just to kind of keep in touch with people, chat with people, and just hold myself accountable. I might even try editing on a live stream just to kind of pass time by. And,
that's a cool idea.
You know, but I have no idea if my small Asus ZenBook Pro is going to like that. We'll find out.
How are we doing on questions? I know we're getting kind of
we're kind of dragging
it
on.
down. We're approaching 10:30.
Yeah,
so.
I think we should definitely wind it down. Of course. See, the problem with Josh and I is we're the types of people that will kind of go on and on whatever topic you guys throw at us. But let's finish.
And for context, like before we were doing this live stream, me and Pawinn have been chatting like once a week, and we would let these go on until like, sometimes just talking
absurd hours, and we ignore our chores and stuff like that. So
sometimes venting about YouTube stuff like, I gotta blah, it froze on me, Adobe Premiere sucks, and blah blah blah. But
well, the whole point of like the live stream, or part of the point is like we want to just be able to hang out and be able to vent and just have people along for the ride. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just hope that YouTube
I don't know what kind of audience wants to hear us bitch about making YouTube video. Hey, come watch us whine and complain about making car videos.
I think there's a lot of unexpected challenges, that's for sure. But of course, like I wouldn't trade a job or an industry like this for anything else. I definitely think it's a very rewarding experience to be able to get feedback and help and provide educational content for people. But at the same time, it's definitely tough to work around all these algorithms and trying to sustain yourself in terms of relevancy and exposure and stuff like that. And I just wish we didn't have to deal with that. I just wish we had to just be like, you know what, I'm going to make this video. And that's kind of how I'm strategically making my videos. Just make the videos that I want on my own time, and people take it as it is. That's how I am.
I think early on, I really got in the weeds of trying to play the YouTube game. And I think for longevity reasons, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it on my own terms and keep it fun. And that's actually my advice to, actually, I think that was on one of the questions. It's like, I think someone had asked me, is it worth starting a YouTube channel now? And I think my answer to that has always been, well, if you want to, absolutely. I mean, it doesn't cost.
Yeah, there's no right time.
If you want to, you should absolutely do it. And I feel like, because they feel that if they don't get to a level of quote success, then there's no point in doing it. And if that's how they feel about it, my rebuttal to that is, well, if you're doing YouTube for followers or to get free stuff or to make money, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Really, you should be doing YouTube because you have a genuine curiosity. That's how I got started. Or you like making films, which is more of like what I like doing now. I like playing with videography. And it's funny to see where like that path takes you. But I think there's a lot of people now that get on TikTok like, I'm gonna make a TikTok, I'll get famous, and that's why I want to do it. Those are the wrong reasons. But if you want to create content, you truly like creating content, I think there's no wrong way to do it. Because if you like what you're doing and you actually make good content, I don't know if I've been drinking the YouTube cool. I really do think that the algorithm will serve you up fine, because I barely put any keywords in. I barely do the hashtag thing. I don't even bother trying to figure out a ton of traffic versus videos where I've tried to research keywords and tried to whatever. And quite honestly, the content isn't that great and it gets horrible traffic. And that's because the content isn't that great.
What I have learned is pop culture and politics will always trump over the algorithm on no matter what. Because you could have an excellent video, right? But if let's say Beyonce wanted to host like this national show or something like that, I don't think your video is gonna do too well in the algorithm for that day. You know what I mean?
Like,
Like
then you can change your titles for that week to
to
like
be, yeah,
you're doing
like,
a
yeah.
BMW water pump. Be
Well,
like
that's the
BMW
whole
water
thing. That
listening to Beyonce.
that's the whole thing with TikTok. Is TikTok threw a fork in the algorithm scheme of social media because you can use hashtags on something that's completely irrelevant to your content but relevant to pop culture, and then your video gets 1 million views. Like I have, like I told you my story of the one. I think it's 2.5 million view TikTok video that I have on my like random TikTok account that I barely that don't use anymore. But it was of my girlfriend just like axe throwing, and I put like I think bad guy as like the audio, and she nailed a bullseye as her last throw of the night. And then coincidentally, I posted on a night where the Bachelor was on, and they were doing axe throwing, and so the video just hijacked on top of relevancy, and then just went straight to the top, and it was a cool video.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's kind of why I think like yes, people will get lucky and people will be able to get big in different methodologies, but at the end of the day you have to treat the content creation space as an artist, and you have to actually want to do it, because if you're trying to do it like you said for fame, money, whatever that isn't about your own passion into it, it's not worth it in my opinion. Like people should do videos because they want to do videos, they want to help people, and they want to give back to the community, because I've learned so much from YouTube videos. I just want to be able to provide my own take. That's pretty much my goal. But anyways, that is a topic we could rant about for another live stream, but I want to finish up these questions here.
Yeah, there's more. I've noticed they're coming in.
Yeah, so there was one that said, Pawinn, do you plan to track your Civic Si at all? I actually was
That'd be
thinking,
cool.
I was actually
That'd be
considering
cool.
my 2020 Civic Si sedan as a backup track car. If this, so here's my plan. If the M3 isn't ready for track days next spring, I will probably take the Civic Si, because it has summer tires. It's got decent suspension on the car. It's a good platform, in my opinion, to just go out on track in terms of like a brand new car or a brand new platform just to try out. The only thing that I am fearful of is the brake system. Like I had a buddy that took a stock 2020 Civic Si sedan to the track, and he toasted his brake pads so bad that he had to like
replace them. Just go with some Hawk.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'd have to do some work on the brakes, which I plan on doing anyways. But I don't want to worry about that right now because that car's not the priority. I've finally shifted focus away from Honda Civics because I know my old BMW fans didn't like me going on the Honda train as much.
That's why I jumped so many brands in my channel. I don't want to be known for anything.
Yeah, you got a lot of different bags to pull from.
People were for a while were like, "Oh, he's the VW guy," and I'm like, "No, I'm not." And then someone was like, "Oh, he's like the Asian humble mechanic." I'm like, "That's a compliment, but I'm not." And then I started doing dots and stuff, and I'm like, "Guys, it's everything. It's whoever gives me their car." Because a lot of the cars I work on aren't even mine. But yeah, I will, dude. I would love to see you track your Honda, but the thing is, never track a car that you care about its appearance. I never realized how dinged up the front of your car gets. Like the front of my E36 is so pitted and scarred from just like flying debris and track rubber, and so just keep that in mind. If you like the way the front of your Honda looks, maybe don't track it.
I'm kicking myself for getting a black car too.
Ooh, yeah. I don't. Well, the rubber streaks will hide well, but
yeah,
I don't know. I would like to see a Honda Si get tracked. That'd be cool.
I've seen plenty of the new gens go out on track, and they do a good job. They do a good job. It's a good I think this is my 15-20 year prediction, I guess, is that the 10th gen Honda Civic is going to become kind of like the well, actually it's happening with the 8th and the 9th gen Civics right now. Those cars are becoming very popular track project cars because they're easy to get, they're cheap to maintain, and you can get back on the road on a budget very easily with those cars. But the 10th gen Civic, I think, is going to be the next crowd favorite. It's just going to take some time before the market dives down to where they're below 10,000 for a brand new one. If that makes, sorry, not brand new one, for a second-hand one. But let's see. I just want to make sure.
Dude, there's a question there about sim rigs. I actually kind of wanted to answer that one.
Yeah. Hold on. Well, we got a question before that too.
Oh, my bad.
Oh yeah. Does BMW have a lot of carbon fiber parts readily available? Well, that really just depends on your budget. If you have the money, you can probably make anything out of carbon fiber. So yeah. But in terms of which platforms
you can make
have
your own
the most,
stuff out of carbon fiber.
Yeah, in my opinion, there's a lot of E36 carbon fiber parts in the market. There's a lot of newer gen E90s, F30 carbon fiber bits, but the halfway point between the E36s and those generations are a little bit of a mixed bag. Hence why I say, if you got deep pockets, you'll probably find exactly what you're looking for a carbon fiber. But the older the platform you go, the cheaper those parts get. But they're still not cheap. They're always going to be expensive. It's carbon fiber. Like, I'm working with a sponsor for my Civic for carbon fiber parts for, like, you know, dolling up the exterior and the interior, and just a badge, carbon fiber badge is like $200 for like a set or something like that. It's nuts. But anyways,
Pawinn, it'd be cool. We should try and make our own carbon fiber parts,
oh,
especially if they're
no,
cosmetic.
no, thank you. I've made carbon fiber parts once in college. It's not fun.
No?
There's so
Okay.
much work. I didn't make. I helped form a carbon fiber monocoque frame for a hybrid. It's called you know how there's like those Formula SAE stuff like that. There was a hybrid SAE, and they basically were trying to build like a hybrid car, but the chassis
Ooh.
never ended up going into fruition because the seniors that worked on that project kind of just like ditched it after they graduated. So
Yeah.
they spent like $5,000 making a carbon fiber monocoque frame and didn't even end up using it. But the process was insanity. A lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of manpower. And if you're trying to make it as a business on your own, dude, you need like a team.
No, I wasn't saying as a business. I meant like if you're making some decorative trim pieces.
I'll try it at some point. I know.
You know,
I just don't
we're not
have...
making frames. We're making like you know, door trim. Like, come on, we could
yeah,
do that.
I might think about that. Yeah, maybe I'll think about that.
I don't know. All right.
Okay, so moving on. Oh yeah, I have a 2018 SI and would love to track it, but I'm not 100% sure where to track it. I'm in the Boston area. Yeah, the next guy below, Meow's Garage, said, yeah, Connecticut at Thompson. Thompson's a great track. I think there's Calm in New Hampshire as well. And then in Massachusetts, there's Palmer. But I think the best way to get on track at Palmer and other tracks locally in New England is to join the Mass Tuning Track Fest series. Like, Mass Tuning was this big Facebook group on the New England area for car guys and stuff like that, and they eventually restructured a bunch of things and started offering track day access to the community at an affordable rate. My only advice is, if you choose to go to any track days and stuff, really consider track insurance. You don't want to be that one person on a tight track like Palmer that puts your 2018 SI into a wall that totaled it. You'd rather spend a couple $100 on the insurance for the day to have peace of mind knowing that whatever happens to the car, like, you know, it's fully covered. Because just because you have regular car insurance, they're not going to cover your car if you crash it on a track. So it's a completely separate set of insurance. So that's the only advice that I've learned from not being a participant, but just being a bystander, watching my friends track and stuff like that, and seeing how people perform.
That's when you tow it away to like 5 miles from the track, then push it into a ditch.
Yeah.
Then you call,
Yeah.
I saw a deer and I don't know what happened. No, that's actually really good advice. I don't purchase track insurance, but I don't want to say I don't care about that car.
The car that you have, you could pick up $1,000-$2,000 shell and swap the parts you need to rebuild. You know, that's why I say, like, if you have
the cage, I couldn't.
Yeah, the cage you couldn't.
Yeah,
that would you have to cough up. But my point is like, if you bought a brand new car, right, you're coughing up at least 20 to 30 grand. Like, you don't want 20 to 30 grand to be a write-off.
Yeah, and actually, to add on to the part about, you know, how to get on track or where to track, depending on what your end goal is, if you want to get into competition, I would look up your local NASA chapter, so
Yes.
NASA Northeast
Good
or SCCA. I'm not too familiar with how it works at SCCA, but I know they're also a good organization. But the reason I say NASA or SCCA is because their driver education program is structured in that you start in run groups and you have classroom sessions, and their whole purpose is eventually to get you to competition school, where they give you a racing license or a competition license. And once you have that competition license, that allows you to race. You know, you get a NASA one, an SCCA one, or a grid life one. You're allowed to race door to door or time trial in any of those three, or you can skip and go to Skip Barber and get them all three. But
totally
that's the point. Yeah, if you want to get to competition, you do want to get your driver education and climb the ranks with like an SCCA, an ASA, or Grid Life, because Grid Life does classroom sessions, right?
Yeah, they do. They do HPDE, so they have like
Yeah.
basically a ways where you can, because that's what I would do if I were to do Grid Life events. I would tackle the HPDE. Someone had a good point to make out about going out on track. Take out either car, C time and C time, and I agree with you. That's kind of why, like,
Yep.
you know, if I can get the E36 M3 out on track, I would love that to be my first track car to just, you know, get skin in the game. But
Yep.
if it doesn't work out, the Civic Si is going to be the next contender. And the reason
Yep.
why I didn't really try doing it this year was because it just wasn't in the budget. I had to make a decision. Do I want to reinvest into parts for cars, or do I want to just get seat time on the racetrack? And I was traveling so much this year, kind of going to Grid Life and stuff, that I just didn't have it in the cards to organize all that and make it successful and not do it all without getting too stressed out. You know what I mean? Like, part of it is just time management, money
stressful.
management, budget management. So
Yeah.
now I'm just trying to plan ahead for next year. Because,
Yeah.
yeah.
I find it stressful. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely have hit me up about some stressful things where, like, I don't know if my car's gonna make it, but I'm gonna have to show up anyways. Or you were doing some work on the car at an event too to get it running, right?
Yeah, it's funny because I always say I have a rule where, like, I watch people like, yeah, we swapped the transmission, we put a clutch in, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not. No, if I break a car at the track, I'm drinking beer, I'm done. And then I broke that rule pretty recently. I was like working on my car at the track, and I'm like, what am I doing? This isn't fun. Like, but you spend all this money going to a track weekend, and you're there, and and all you have, it's like, I'm not gonna waste my money doing this. So
Yeah, no, I feel that.
you gotta fix it. You gotta get back out there.
Yeah, because if you don't fix it, it's just like, well, now you're just burning cash, burning insurance money, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you don't have insurance money, but
No, not me. But yeah, it's a waste of time. You can't just sit and drink beer and watch other people have fun.
So this guy, Meow Garage, says, I want to take my Civic Si out and turn it into a fully track-ready car and maybe daily a Honda Fit. Now, I'm going to actually argue.
I love Honda Fits.
I want
a Honda Fit.
I'm going to argue to do the opposite. I would get a Honda Fit and track the hell out of that car and keep the Si as a daily.
There's spec fit in
Yes.
SCCA.
Have you seen Fits go around track? It's so much fun to watch. Three-wheeling all day.
Dude, this Meow, he just triggered us. Like, we're both like, fit. I want to fit. I'll sell both these BMWs and get a Fit. I want to Fit so bad.
I have never seen a group of guys, because like at Grid Life, there's like these small group of Fits that just go all out all the time. Dude. And like, you just look at them and you're like, these guys are having the best time. And all of these guys bring all their gear. They bring their camping gear, everything, and they cram them into these cars. And they go on the track, and then they beat the crap out of these cars and have a good old time.
They're front-wheel drive Miatas, but, like, I like them more.
They just look like a pear-shaped Miata just going around the track. Like, it's just like an awkward-looking car.
They're cool. Dude, get a Fit. Absolutely, 100%. Get a Fit.
Yeah, Fits are I would, if I was in your shoes, I would keep the Civic Si as a daily and just do the Fit as a track car. Because I would...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna I'm gonna put my foot down on that opinion.
I'm with you. I like how we started the BMW stuff, and now we're like, get a Fit.
Yeah, I mean, dude, there's a reason why the company I work for are all Honda guys, and we make Honda parts. But we have E36s and BMWs as our project cars, because we don't want to mix that business side into our somewhat pleasure and stress of a project on the side. If that makes any sense. Yeah. I feel like making parts for... Well, it also is a market. I feel like people are very picky with BMW parts or the European parts market in general for aftermarket parts. And the Honda platform has always been known to be surrounding on budget a lot. So, like, there's going to be people that just put no money into these mods or spend very cheap amounts of money on the certain parts that may or may not be the best parts, but they work. Hondas are more forgiving, in my opinion, than BMWs.
Yeah.
But,
oh, dude, I think Japanese is more forgiving than European all day.
Yeah. They might. But here's the thing. I feel like there's stupid stuff that breaks with those cars more often than none. And then with engineering for at least the cars that I've worked on with like the E36s and stuff, there's at least thoughts and reasoning that I could figure out. But with Honda, sometimes I'm just like, kind of like,
There's no
Why does this
thought
go?
and reasoning in an E36. I'm still bitter about every time I work on an E36. There's no thought and reasoning. It's all dumb. I just like driving an E36. I hate working on it.
I hope that I don't get to that opinion working on my
You won't. You're smarter than I am. You're an actual engineer. You studied engineer. I studied marketing. Okay, so I probably
I
shouldn't
wish I
even.
studied marketing. I wouldn't be
I shouldn't.
stressed
I
out
shouldn't
about
be
this
touching
constant
these
stuff.
things. I don't know what I'm doing with these.
Well, hold on. Just because I studied engineering does not mean I'm a competent technical guy. Because if you know the saying, mechanics and engineers never get along. Because mechanics always complain what the engineers design, but then the engineers always say, well, theoretically, this should work.
Well, I
And
studied
there's always-
professional lying, so how's that?
What'd you say?
I'm kidding. I said I studied professional lying as a marketer. That was my joke in business school, and they hated it. They're like,
Really?
don't say that.
Oh,
Yeah, I
man.
was like, well, what is it?
Well, I guess the phrase that is the professional phrase is you know how to leverage yourself.
Oh, yes.
That is the phrase that will not sound so harsh. But
Yeah.
that's the name of the game. But that, again, topics for another discussion.
Oh, yeah,
Let's run through the list and see if
Okay.
there's any other questions. I had a question that said,
Man, there's some people watching. It's late.
yeah, dude, I'm excited that people are still on the stream. I appreciate everyone that's watching here. And
Yeah,
at
thank
this
you.
point, we're just bantering and having a good time. Just
I
chatting.
know.
But here's a good question that I got from Instagram. Excuse me.
Okay.
It's from a guy called @MarkGreco_70. Excuse me, I'm like burping all over the place now. Sorry. But he asks, what did you do to stiffen up the E36 chassis? And that's actually a really good topic because, I hope a lot of E36 enthusiasts know that the M car has chassis reinforcements from the factory, but not all the reinforcements necessary, in my opinion. The base models, though, you're going to need to do the whole shebang if you're going to need to track your E36. Like when I did my turbo build on Gertrude, the convertible, the reason why I stiffened up the chassis in that car was just because there's a sheer increase in power that's going to twist the drivetrain around. I have no idea what's going to break. So my justification of stiffening up the chassis was I did all the chassis reinforcements on the subframe. I did the trailing arm pocket reinforcement, and I did the front subframe reinforcement where the engine mounts are. So you'll have like the bottom and then a piece where you weld inside to make the plate thicker. So your engine never tears out of the mount location, essentially, from sheer torque or whatever. But an underlooked stiffening maintenance thing is as simple as your cross member. The cross member bracket for the transmission is notorious to crack over time, especially with regular track abuse. So if that's not an item that's on your maintenance list for a track car, that's something that I would always keep a spare on hand. They're like $40 to keep, but when they fail, it's bad. Like you'll
Mine's had a crack for a year and a half. I haven't replaced it. I just keep watching the crack. I'm like, I won't replace it until you actually break. That's how cheap I am.
Well, okay.
But mine is cracked for sure. Yeah,
well,
it's
please
cracked.
replace it before you go out next season, because I would hate to see a cross member twist and like drag on the ground or something. At the very least, you could probably drill through the what's it called, the point of the crack, so it disperses the force into like a circle instead of I'm gonna nerd out on you. Theoretically, at the tip of a crack, the stress or the forces inside the crack are like technically infinity. So that's why they can propagate and go random. Like when you see glass crack, it can crack in so many different directions.
I don't tend to believe the drilling at the tip of the crack thing does anything, because back in college and high school, like when I played in like bands, my drummer would crack his cymbals every now and then. He's like, I know, I'll drill the tip of my crack here, and that'll stop the cracks from spreading. And he would do that, and guess what? It would drill the tip of the crack, and then the crack would just skip the hole and continue cracking the cymbal. I'm like, all right, well, I did nothing.
Okay, well, at that point, that just might be material choice, but I don't know. I only know enough conceptual knowledge. Of course, I don't have any practical application of engineering. That's when I go to my boss at Acuity Instruments, where he knows all the
I'll give it a shot
stuff.
But I could also, if I'm gonna crawl under there to drill a hole, I'm just gonna go under there and place it.
Yeah, dude, it will take you 15 minutes to replace that.
Not me, man. It'll take me.
I'm gonna need to hook you up with my boy at FCP Euro. Get you some parts.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
All right.
all
Sorry.
right, okay,
I
let's wind
hijacked
down
that.
here. There's one more question in the chat. Or
Yeah.
actually, no, I didn't even finish my topic with stiffening
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
chassis.
Finish
So
that up.
yeah, chassis reinforcements are a must on any base model. So 3 Series. If it's an M car, you don't have to do the subframe because I think the subframe ones are already there in the car, and you can actually buy the OEM spec reinforcement plates still. So I would get those if you don't have an M3. But regardless of the chassis, always do the trailing arm pocket reinforcement because those, especially with higher mileage U36s, when they tear out, it's a big problem because that
Oh.
basically maintains the alignment in the whole rear section of the axle. So if that goes out, you're gonna kiss a wall probably
Oh,
if you're
dude,
going on track,
it's
most
it's
likely.
violent. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's bad.
So
Yeah.
that's one of the things I'm gonna do before I really get into the track days with the E36. Um, but aside from that, there's not really much aside from just the typical sway bar suspension and maybe a little bit of strut tower bars.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
that's about
mine's
it.
not an M. Mine's a 325. And what it's got done is the M3 X brace installed, and
Oh yeah, the X brace is a good thing too. I actually took mine out for the M3 with the work that I've been doing, but that also good
X
amount of
brace.
stiffness.
And then plus for safety, it's got a roll cage. That's like all the stiffening you'll ever need in the car. So
Yeah, but that's like,
yeah.
but that I want to say it's when you really want to get serious.
Oh,
Like
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I didn't know if this question was for track car. Like, if it's going to be a dedicated track car, and you know that, like, why not get a roll cage, because safety is safety,
yeah,
and it's going to stiffen the heck out of your car. I mean, I jack my car up at the rear jack point, and it just jacks the whole. I can just jack it at one point, and both wheels
yeah.
come off the ground like a solid car. It's crazy. And then, like you said, subframe reinforcement stuff for sure. But
Cool.
I
All
don't run
right.
strut braces. I don't do any of that stuff.
You don't really, yeah. It's funny because a lot of people like running strut bars in the 10th gen Civic, and if you look at how the firewall area is designed into the strut area, basically
Yeah.
the tower is integrated into the firewall. So a strut bar won't do too much, or it's not a substantial stiffening increase. But for something like an M3 where the towers are like kind of separate from the firewall, yeah, you'll see a difference. But again, it's really
I don't.
what application you're gonna go for.
I don't
You
think
know.
you will. Bimmerworld actually did a test where they took one of their spec E46 cars around VIR and used measurement equipment to
Mm-hmm.
measure deflection at the strut towers around VIR. I think running like Hoosiers, and
Really?
at
Wow.
the hardest points, how much deflection did the strut towers do? And it was like negligible. Like,
Really?
you really don't need them.
Huh. Well, I
Yeah.
guess assuming that all the towers are intact, then it might already be a pretty darn
Oh yeah,
stiff
assuming
chassis.
that part. Yeah.
Because I would imagine if you do like a drift car approach and you cut the front end off, you're losing
Whew.
so much of the stiffness. Because you know how they do the bash bars in front? They just cut the whole
Yeah.
front end off all the way up to the tower. So I would imagine it's definitely going to need a strut bar at that point. But no,
Fair.
that's a good. No, thanks for telling me that. I actually didn't even think about just researching into it because that was just something that I was so accustomed in seeing with the platform. So
Yeah. Now,
learn a new
I
thing
will
every
say
day.
though, there is a difference though between actual performance to how the car handles, and actual, like, car resonance and feel, right? So it might not affect how it's gripping the road, but if it gives you that, if it affects the feel and the resonance of the feedback from the road to the wheel, you could say that's still a performance increase, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. They look cool. You could, there's that.
They do.
Yeah.
Let's see. One more question. Have you replaced the clutch in your SI, or do you know of any places to do it? And do you have any more power mods in mind? Well, for my SI, I am going to change the clutch when I feel like I need to. I do not want to do that job. It's a very intimidating job for me because you literally have to drop the whole front subframe just to get access to the transmission. You have to take the front axle off just to separate all that stuff. And it's just a lot of hours of work just to get to the clutch assembly. And if I were to do that, it's a big budget thing because one, I would probably do the Type R retrofit. So if you don't know what that is, Josh, is the Type R clutch and flywheel retrofit onto an SI.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's kind of like the OEM Plus mod. If you don't want to bite the bullet and buy like an aftermarket kit that has a little bit of a shaky history, hit or miss still. Like, I feel like I would be more comfortable installing an OEM plus kind of clutch pack upgrade than an aftermarket, full aftermarket.
No, I think that's...
Just because I kind of have a little bit more trust in an OEM spec.
Are Honda's dual mass like BMW or Volkswagen?
I think so. I want to say so.
And also, I just saw this in the chat. Big Kid's Garage is a buddy of mine, so I wanted to give him a shout out. Thanks.
Oh, no way! No, I did not know that. Yeah.
That's
awesome.
I just saw that. Yeah.
But yeah, no, and so the power mods that I do have on the car that warrant an eventual clutch change is I got a Fearable 1.5 tune, which gives you 3 boost settings. So you got like a 19.5, 22.5, and a 24.5 psi. Like, that's pretty high boost for like a standard turbo car to begin with.
Did you say 24 psi?
Yeah. So the highest boost setting for that tune is 24.5 psi, and it gives you like a 70 horsepower bump on the car.
That's a lot of.
Yeah, that's literally rod bending power increase, at least torque.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Luckily the tune is fairly well done, where like it kind of ramps the power up healthily, but still I anticipate that my clutch is probably going to go, assuming I drive the same way that I drive for the next year or so.
You're on a stock clutch with it? I mean, that's my cold tire pressure in the E36.
Like, I don't want to do a clutch because it's so annoying, like I mentioned, and if I'm going to do it, I'm going to have to just buy a front sway bar kit anyways, because you might as well do it. But I don't know.
Do it for the content, and then you can write it off.
Yeah. I write everything off as like marketing and advertising, because that's pretty much what I'm doing. It's like I'm just advertising my own videos and advertising parts like all the time. So,
mine is allocated as production expenses.
I'm interested to see how the tax brackets work out, but that, again, topic for another day. Let's definitely start winding down. Oh, last question. Are you into motorcycles? Frankly, no.
Yes.
And I'm not into motorcycles because I know that if I got into motorcycles, I would probably run myself off a road or get myself killed at a high rate of speed. I'm addicted to speed.
You're in a bigger city than I am, so I can, like, when I lived in Atlanta, no way would I ride a motorcycle.
Yeah, that's kind of where my head's at.
But here in Richmond, Virginia, so I have a motorcycle. I have the motorcycle endorsement on my license. I've ridden motorcycles. I don't have one now. I've actually been toying with getting one and adding that to the channel. It's funny because I don't know if you can tell, I'm a smaller guy. I'm 5'4", and I really like enduro bikes. So it's really hard to find an enduro bike that I can actually get on and be able to manage, like,
and weight shift around too. Like that's a big factor. Yeah.
Right. So like BMW GS bikes are just way too much, except for like is it the GS 310 or something? They have a single cylinder thumper that I can actually manage, and I'm like, this is neat. But then if you really look into it, it's like, is that really an enduro bike? Because it really doesn't have the clearance, it doesn't have the torque. I've read a lot of reviews on it. You really can't go exploring with it because when you get down to those low ranges, it seems to stall. So I'm like, well, but Triumph has a Tiger 800 that I can comfortably in Converse shoes, like, manage, and that's tempting. But the reality is, I'm not going overlanding on a motorcycle. So the next bike I buy will probably be a Triumph Street Twin. I really like those bikes.
I think I might want to get a cruiser one day too.
There you go. See, I convinced you. Pawinn and Josh cruise the U.S. on some motorcycles.
Yeah, I want to be able to live in an area or have access to places where I know I can just ride comfortably. Because my girlfriend's dad has a really cool bike, and he goes out riding with his cousins and brothers and siblings and stuff. So it's something that I eventually want to be a part of. But I
or
just
a dirt
don't.
bike.
Yeah, or dirt bike. Dirt bike sounds
because that'll get you off the road. Or the KTM Dukes, I think, are awesome. Yeah. So to answer your question, I like motorcycles. Yes.
I like them. I'm just not ready for them. I don't think I deserve to ride a motorcycle yet. I'm just gonna get myself into too much trouble. But anyways, we're gonna wind it all down.
All right.
This has been wow. It is almost been 2 hours.
Pawinn,
for us.
Thanks for having me. Shameless plug. If you guys aren't following me, check out my YouTube channel.
Please, honestly, his track videos have been so entertaining, and they've been keeping me motivated to make my content. So definitely show him some love. send him a like, send him a follow, send him a subscribe. I'd love to see your channel. I want to see this like grow from here, man. Like I'd love to see where it goes off and takes off from here.
That'd be cool. And, you know, I think we mentioned that we were potentially going to do a live stream on Instagram at SEMA. So
we'll have to see how it works out, because I know my priorities at the event, of course, are sticking by my boss and kind of making sure we're handling all of our networking activities correct. We've got a bunch of guys who want to check in with that run our parts with our company. And but I am for sure, I know that there's going to be an opportunity for us to just hang out, because it's a huge event. We're going to be there for 2 full days. Are you going to be there the whole week? Because I'm going to get there probably the 2nd and then leave on the 5th.
I'll be there. I'll arrive Monday and I'll leave on the 5th.
Cool. Yeah, dude, I'll see you there. And if anyone else is going to SEMA, I'll see you guys are there too. If anyone's going to Import Alliance in Atlanta, I'll be there for that weekend for the fall meet.
That's right.
I think it starts next week.
It's next weekend.
Well, I'm flying out traveling down next week. But it would be.
I'm not going, by the way. Remember I told you I might go. I'm not going.
Oh, it's all good, dude. No worries,
Sorry,
dude. But yeah, dude, it's been great having all of you guys here on the stream. It's been great having Josh here. I appreciate all of you guys for just kind of chiming in, tuning in, making this all happen. And thanks, Josh, for struggling to get this all working with me.
No, sorry for my connection.
Dude,
Meow's Garage, great questions.
It's gonna smooth it out from here.
Big Kids Garage, thanks for joining.
Yeah.
And
but
yeah,
anyways,
get a fit.
Yeah,
get a fit.
After, I mean, depending on if I save this video, I'd also love to hear feedback from everyone. Like, what times work best for live streams? Is this a good format? Is this a good thing going on for the channel to keep everything going? Is this a new form of content that's entertaining for you guys? I'd love to hear all your feedback. But that being said, guys, I think we're gonna end it right here. This has been an awesome first stream, and I'm glad to have you on, Josh.
Thanks. All right, nice to meet everyone. Thanks, Pawinn. See you next time.
See you guys. Have a good rest of your night.
Bye now.